Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
What's happening?
And we also have Madison.
Madison.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Hi, Madison. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use. And thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us. info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. Right, Ben?
Yes, sirree.
Oh, here we are, Friday. Madison, are you nervous?
I'm always nervous to talk.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like my hands start to sweat, like little things like that. And I'm like, whoa. Then I got like my mom coming into town today. So like I'm extra nervous today. But it'll be great. We'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
You've been wanting to come on the podcast, though, for a while.
Oh, yeah.
She said, what's the motivation for you?
Just to spread like what I've been through and knowing I could help somebody else is like just a blessing in itself, I would say.
Right on.
Cool.
Haven't been through too much, but I've been through enough to know that that's not how I want to live anymore for sure.
Well, let's just hop right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how old you are, where you're from, and then we'll go from there.
All right. I am 24 years old. I'm from Mobile, Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Old Nick Saban. Gone.
And I'm an alcoholic. And I just got to Florida, I would say, last year around April.
Yeah? What brought you to Florida?
Recovery. It's really strong down here, and I didn't feel like I could get help where I'm originally from. I didn't know there were resources anywhere, and like the first place that I looked up online was Florida, and I was like, well, let me just go try it out, and I've been here ever since.
So you never tried to get sober in Alabama at all?
No, it's just like where I'm from, a lot of people, what they do for fun is like going downtown, drinking, things like that, and I didn't think it was as normalized as it is there, and I just felt like I didn't know that people, places, and things were so strong there. And just being in that environment, it just wasn't healthy for me anymore.
What did your, was it alcohol for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start drinking?
I would say around 15.
Yeah.
Then
What'd that look like?
Oh. It didn't look bad whenever I first started. I drank a little bit, and then my main thing that I did was smoking.
Weed?
So, yeah. Weed, for sure. Yeah. I smoked all the time, like every day, all day. And that's what got me to stop drinking. And then moved on my own around 17, drank a little bit, but like my drinking mainly like spiked whenever, like probably like a year or so ago. But like when I was younger, I'd go to parties here and there, and like the cops would come, we would run, but like I didn't see the problem, and I seen it, like I said, like probably a year or so ago.
Yeah. Get the mic a little bit closer to you.
A little bit. Can you hear me now?
There we go. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What helped you see it? Like you said, you didn't begin to see it until about a year ago.
Probably the cars that I was totaling, how many times I was in jail, the blackouts, the losing my car keys, having my car dead centered in the middle of Mardi Gras and not even knowing where it was at and walking to go find it. And people were like, yeah, it was pretty bad.
Tom's like, I did that.
Yeah. Alcohol can do some crazy things.
It was tough.
Well, did you grow up in like a drinking culture? I mean,
No.
in terms of your family and stuff?
I had a really good childhood, very tradition, doing things with my family. All my friends lived on the same street. I mean, just everybody was always together. Like everyone's a little dysfunctional, but alcohol was never really a problem. Like I never seen that, like I didn't see them profusively drinking and going out and doing things like that. Like I was just, I don't know, hardworking family. My grandma lived like 2 houses down. My uncle lived right in front of her. I mean, it was just really like in-ground pools, birthdays were spent, like just really family oriented. Like, I would say I had a really good childhood, like really good upbringing.
So is it just like friends and stuff that got you involved in the drinking?
Yeah, definitely. When I got with like my first girlfriend, that's when it like really took off.
Yeah.
We would like drink every other weekend at her dad's house. And then we smoked a little bit. And that's when I realized like I liked smoking at the time more than I liked drinking. But when I moved on my own, that's when like it started to like I could do whatever I wanted. You know, nobody was really like, hey, you know, what's going on? Like, are you high right now? Are you drinking? I was by myself, so it was easier.
At what age did you move out?
17. So
Really?
I moved out so like my birthday falls in June, like right after I graduated. So like anytime I never had a birthday in school. So I was just about to turn 18. Yeah. So I moved out at 17 and I've been on my own ever since.
Oh, wow. And you moved out straight out of high school. Did you go to college or no?
I did not.
No. Just went to work and got an apartment and started drinking and smoking a lot of pot.
Yeah, that's about right.
All right.
It's like pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
I had my lease signed before graduation day, and the day that I graduated, I was out.
Did
The day
you?
before.
Yeah. And when, I was bartending and same kind of thing.
I never moved out until I was thrown out. Okay, so is this your first time in treatment?
This is actually my second time in treatment.
When was the first?
April 13th, 2023 to September 5th of 2023.
And you did detox, the whole gamut?
Yeah, detox, res, PHP, IOP.
And what happened?
A mess up with my insurance at my last treatment center, and they were suggesting me to go to a sober living, but I was just so angry at the time that I got this, I can do it myself, reserving the drink when I was in there like weeks before I had even been discharged. And I was like, I have a little bit of time under my belt. I'm working through a little bit of what I've gone through. I can do it. And that was like a really big letdown. Like, I was like, wow, like I underestimated just how strong addiction is whenever I got out. Like,
How long after you got out till you picked up?
not even 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks after that, I was in jail
For what?
for DUI, another DUI.
Another DUI? How many you have?
Well, I have 3 back home, and I have 1 in the state of Florida.
So 4 total?
4. Yeah, and they're not even, like a year and some months apart. Like, when my drinking spiked, it spiked hard. Like, my mom said she's never seen anyone have that many consequences that fast.
Right.
Like, it was...
So you were like driving on suspended license, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I didn't know my license was suspended this past time. Like, I've always had a license. And then when I got pulled over in September, that's whenever I found out my license was suspended. I was doing 80 and a 35 and DUI.
You're lucky you didn't die.
I've been lucky several times.
Yeah.
Like the way my cars look and like knowing that I didn't kill anybody or kill myself, hurt myself, harm anyone else is mind-blowing to me. Like, flipping cars, wrapping around telephone poles, not knowing how I got home, running into people's tow hitches when I'm like aware of this. Like, I was probably the only thing I've ever done that I was aware that I did. Like, I don't even remember wrecking my cars.
Yeah.
That's
Gosh.
like, yeah, it's pretty sad.
Our stories are like carbon copies of one another. I wrecked every single car I had.
Dude,
Drunk. Every one.
it was bad.
Yeah, and I don't know. But when I got so I have 1 DUI. And when I got it, I remember thinking to myself, like, relieved almost, because I had known at that point that the end was near. You know what I mean? And I got sober at 26, so you're only 2 years behind me.
Yeah.
And so I do want to spend a second on this because, Madison, you're 24 years old. Drug of choice is alcohol.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, when we have people even come here to rock at 24 years old, 9 out of 10 times their drug of choice is...
I would say alcohol, right?
fentanyl.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I would agree with you. However, I'm seeing a shift lately.
Okay.
I
well,
would
maybe
say recently. So yes, I agree with you, but I do want to throw it out there. I'm starting to see more young people with straight alcoholism again.
Yeah,
interesting.
I would suppose so. But I think the overall, when you have somebody in their 20s, more often than not, their drug of choice is going to be some sort of opiates.
Yeah.
And because alcoholism is something that has been, as we know, it's slow and progressive for most. But for people like you and I, it was not slow and progressive in the sense of like, most people are just starting their drinking careers at 24. You're ending your drinking career at 24.
Yeah.
And that's a very good thing. It's something that I oftentimes share, that I'm grateful to be an alcoholic for the simple fact of it is the most readily accessible drug out there.
It's legal.
And for drug addicts, fentanyl and opiate users and stuff like that. Again, I believe they're all the same. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't have anything else to fall back on. Because we oftentimes hear, and I'd be curious about your input on this, and Ben, yours as well, drug addicts oftentimes say, oh, well, I never had a problem with drinking, so I could just go out and drink a little bit. Well, we're fortunate to be alcoholics.
Yeah.
And it would sound stupid of us to say, well, I had never had a problem with heroin.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
So let me just go do heroin a little bit.
Or even weed.
Right.
Like, I know for a fact, like, I'm like, well, I've never had a problem with weed. Why can't I just, like, go out and smoke? Because I know when I start to smoke, I'm like, damn, man, a shot sounds pretty good right now.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, I can't do anything. I can vape. That's about it.
Yeah.
I've recapped this on previous episodes, but I think it's important to bring up when it comes up. A lot of people look at the direct cause. Like you just mentioned a direct cause for you, because some people argue differently. For you, you just said that when you smoke weed, you're like, a shot sounds good.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it'll lead you to your drug of choice, which is alcohol. Where what a lot of people miss is the indirect causes. Like, for instance, if you're sober from alcohol right now, you go to meetings, you work 12 steps, you've got a sober support community. If you started smoking weed, would you continue doing all those things?
No, because then I would feel guilty going there when I know that I'm high.
Exactly. So it indirectly, it takes you away from all the things that got you to where you're at to help you with your alcoholism. So a lot of people don't correlate the indirect causes. I'll leave that there.
I thought we were just talking about this the other day.
We did talk about it on the beach, you and I.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because young people, oftentimes people think, oh, you're so young and you have your whole life ahead of you. And young people think this. I remember thinking this myself, that really I'm going to stay sober the rest of my life. And to think of it in that terms is really, I'm hesitant to say depressing, but it's kind of like, because I really like being drunk.
Yeah.
I do. I think that it feels great. I love who it makes me. I do things that I otherwise wouldn't do. I dance. I'm more outgoing, and so I really like being drunk, and to wrap my head around the idea of never being able to be drunk again, there's something there that's like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer. But you get to a point where you start to realize that it's not so much what alcohol does when I have it in my life. It's like what my life does when I remove it. When I don't have that anymore, you start to see things through sober eyes and have like a different perspective on life. Yeah. And it obviously gets a lot easier as time goes on, because you start to gain, the materialistic things obviously start coming to fruition. And then shortly after that, in most cases, you have the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual benefits and the fruits of sobriety that come after that. And then it kind of dampens that, oh, I have to stay sober the rest of my life mentality, And, there's always the cliche sayings that, are annoying to hear, but are so true, like one day at a time.
I thought that was really cliche my first time trying to get sober, because I would future trip like, wow, I have to be sober for the rest of my life. Like, how am I? I'm only 24 years old. And then like thinking of it like that is like not the best of headspace to be in. So like this time around, I'm just saying, well, I know today I don't want to drink. So just for today. Right. And I just keep telling myself that. And like it gets better for me whenever I look at it that way. Because my life was shit whenever I had alcohol in it. And like the things that come about with not drinking, you know, like you're just more clear headed. You don't depend on things to get you out of self, and you can deal with life on life's terms. Like I used to run and run and run. And like the things that have happened to me since I've been in treatment, every part of me was like, you can run. But staying in the moment and working through that without anything was really hard, but really beneficial for me too. Because if I can make it through what I have been through without the drink or the drug, then like the possibilities are going to be endless.
I want to go back to the point where you just said I'm 24. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, life is over. I can't party anymore. I'd like to bring this up. You know, we had a conversation, you and I, yesterday. During adventure group in particular. That's why I like adventure groups. Her and I are just walking on the beach together, like having a conversation about this. Feels just really human. But you were talking about music festivals in particular. Yeah. And, well, rather than me saying what you said, why don't you fill us in, the listeners.
Well,
what you're battling in your head about it or whatever the case is.
Just being able to go to a festival sober. Like, I know that I can enjoy a set sober, but like the days, there's like a 4-day festival, right? Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to want to like do Molly or ecstasy, mushrooms, and I don't want to put myself in that position to start something that I can't finish, because I'm going to finish it probably with alcohol. But it's like, I don't even want to chance that. Like that people just go back and forth saying like, well, you can do it in a couple years. And I honestly, for me, people that I have talked to have all said the same thing. It's just not the same. Like, yeah, you're enjoying it for a little bit, but what happens whenever like you go to lay down, the music's still going, people are still doing this, all this is around you. Like, it's really challenging, because I love to go to festivals. So it's like, how do I even balance that? And me and Ben were talking, he said that he went to a show, just a 1-set show, and it wasn't as bad as going to like a 4-day, 12-hour, was it like 12 hours?
Yeah, probably
something like that. But yeah, I mean, I've been on the fence about that, because it's really hard, because it's like relearning everything that you used to do. And it's like, will I ever be able to enjoy one again? Will I, you know, like, I don't know. It's a hard one for me, because I love the music.
I just love the fact that you're willing to let go of something that you used to consider fun, quote unquote, you know, because it's not worth risking your sobriety. Because this comes up a lot, you know, nowadays, you know, anybody from the age of 18 to 25 years old, maybe a little older, they talk about all these music festivals that they would go to, and they throw around the idea of wanting to go. And the big book talks about capturing the spirit of other days, you know, and it's like, at the end of the day, is it worth it? You know, and I had shared with her, just to kind of clarify some of that, like, at 3 years of sobriety, I did go to a music festival. It was a 2-day one. And I found myself leaving the first day early and then going to the second day really late, and actually only staying for like a couple hours anyway. And then like probably like 3 years later, something like that, there was an artist in Miami, and I had a friend that wanted to go, and it was like you said, like one set. It was like a concert. Like you go, you're only there for 2 hours, and the thing was over. It was from like 7 to 9 or something, 7 to 10 o'clock, you know? You're down there and you're out. It's not like this whole like getting a hotel or a tent for 4 days or whatever the case is. But, you know, going back to the idea that you're willing to let go of some of these old ideas, it's just not worth it, you know? And you would like to think that you would have fun. And you might. Like, don't get me wrong. I know people that are sober that go to music festivals. But the fact that you're able to sit back for you and say, I think for me, this is what would happen, I think that's a very mature way to look at your sobriety.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, don't get me wrong, you know, but it's like, am I really willing to risk everything that I've worked for? You know, and I do work hard to stay sober, and it's not easy. It's not just like, oh, I'm just not going to drink today. I'm just going to put the drink and the drug down. You really got to like dive deep in yourself and like do things like that. But like, as far as the festival thing goes, I don't even want to experience it to have that doubt. Like, oh man, like I can't even do it. So it's better for me to know, like, well, let's just not go.
Yeah.
So I don't have to experience that, like, wow, like this, I really can't. So it's nice to know, like, okay, well, that's not going to do it. So
I have a little bit of a somewhat different perspective. I mean, I loved going to concerts. I've never been to a music festival. I'd love to go, and I'd be the first to go.
We're talking like EDM, rave type stuff.
Yeah.
Just to clarify for the listeners, like it's very drug based.
Yeah.
very.
I want to go because I do really like that music, and I do plan on going at some point. Just because I've never been to one. I think this goes to.
I didn't know you even liked EDM music.
I love like just
That's crazy.
yeah. On my Sirius, all I play is they have a house playlist, and that's all I listen to
I want to see Tom dance.
outside of podcasts.
I'm dying to see Tom dance.
Yeah,
You
I don't
get out here and
dance.
shuffle.
I mean,
do a
I
quick
play air
shuffle.
drums pretty good. Like I can keep a beat with it. Very good. But anyways, what I was saying is that it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It comes down to time. Well, two things for me: time and community. Because the mindset that you're in right now makes total sense. That the risk versus the reward, it just doesn't make sense. But that will change the longer that you're sober. I guarantee you it will. Because the longer that you're sober, the different perspectives you have on everything, right? Right now it's very risky for a somewhat relative reward. But you will get to a point where the reward's going to be very great for very minimal risk because you're that secure in your sobriety. I remember when I was newly sober and I went to a Motley Crue concert, and I did not enjoy it because I was in this like mindset, and all the concerts I ever went to was just drugs and booze and everything that comes with it. And then I think I had maybe 2 years of sobriety, and I go to this Motley Crue Def Leppard concert, and I was extremely uncomfortable because
Just see him out there.
yeah.
I could see him in Motley Crue.
Oh yeah.
Not at Ultra.
I love that music too. But I didn't feel good, And then I remember I went to Slipknot. What was this? Maybe 3 years ago? Went to a Slipknot concert, and at that time, now I had 10 years of sobriety. The reward was so much greater than the risk. I loved being there,
I see what you're saying.
because and everybody around me's drinking, so that's the one piece is the time component. As time goes on, you'll be able to go to these things if you want to still go to them.
Yeah.
I'm not one now to even scope out going to concerts anymore, but if I did want to go, if one's coming that I think I'd really enjoy, then I can absolutely go and not worry about drinking. The second point is the community aspect of it. Again, I've never been to these things, but I do know for certain that there's sober groups that go to them. You can find sober
The tents.
and it's just sober people. It's power in numbers. You go there by yourself or one of
I
your
wouldn't recommend that.
yeah, I mean,
Going by yourself.
that's what I'm saying. If you go to one of these by yourself or with a friend from back home that's still actively using, like, no, I wouldn't recommend that. But if you go with a handful of people that are sober and you're just going for the music and to, hang out for a few hours and get out, absolutely. I think don't deprive yourself of it. At this stage, deprive yourself of it because it's very risky, but in the future, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree with Tom on that. Like, I could go to a festival today. Have fun.
We talked about going last year to one of them.
I'd be going not to see the festival. I'd be going to see Tom at the festival.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I would go. Yeah.
I'd
Lots
be
of
like
people
a fish
trying to
out
give
of
him
water,
hugs.
probably.
No, you really want to go
He'd be the
somewhere where
guy
people give you
walking
so
around
many
with
hugs?
the water bottles, just handing them out.
Yeah. I'm not going to. What do you mean the hugs? Everybody's hugging everybody?
Everybody's hugging everybody.
Even if you don't know them?
Even if that's the yes, this is like the main
Tom
place
just
where
got-
you can go, and if you wanted to strip down completely naked and walk around free, no one would judge you. They'd probably still give you a hug.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I won't go. That's kind of disgusting.
No, it's crazy. Like when there was one time where I was there and like you're just like really just out of it, right? And like you can tell like she needs some water. People just walk by random like, oh my, do you need some water? Are you okay? And they call it trip sitting. Like they just kind of help you out there. They don't even know you, but they just walk by and see you. Now sober, I don't know. I've never been to one, but yeah, it's very
Enmeshed. Like everybody's, yeah, no, I get it. I could see that. I mean, I'd still go to one maybe. Yeah, maybe I'll go out and pass water out. I could be the water boy.
Oh, this is funny.
They'd love you though. They would hug you and say, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You
I
just
would
saved my
put
life."
I would put a big banner on me, like one of those things that no hugs, please. Well, yeah, but then that would invite hugs.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
done
everybody-
for, Tom.
Yeah.
No, I'm all in all though. Like I do 100% agree with you. Your sobriety does evolve, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, and I can be in situations today that I couldn't be in at 30 days, 3 months, even 3 years. You know, today I have 13. Tom and I both have 13 years now. It's like, not that we are completely free of it, you know, but at the same time, our sobriety is pretty locked in at this point.
Well, I have a friend of mine that you know him, Pepe.
Yeah.
You know, when we go on a fishing trip every year, and well, I can't use that as an example because those of us that go on this fishing trip, we're all sober. But he's very open about, and he's got 22, maybe 23 years of sobriety. He won't, if somebody like, and a lot of his immediate family and stuff drink, you know, and they're all big boaters and, you know, they go out on the water, pack coolers full of beer, and he's totally fine with it. You know, he's got 22 years of sobriety, but he's made a commitment to himself that I just won't go in the cooler and hand somebody a beer, you know? So if somebody says, "Hey, Peter, can you get me a beer?" He won't do it just because for him, that's a boundary that he put up for himself that I just don't want to touch it. You know, if you want one, get up and go get one yourself. Me, I'm a little bit different. I don't care. If you want me to hand you a beer, I'll hand you a beer. I'm not going to you know, so it's like everybody's experience is different with it, but don't be ashamed with whatever boundaries you want to set for yourself because it's your sobriety, nobody else's. And, you know, and those are things that you learn over the years, you know.
I highly approve of your thought process and decision making
So do
for
I.
right now.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd rather, just to be frank, I'd rather hear that than somebody be like, yeah, I'm thinking about going.
Yeah, that's where I messed up the first time. I was like talking to this girl who was like a promoter for the festivals, and I was like pissed off because they wouldn't let me go to a festival. And I didn't even realize, but it's like the self-sabotaging, you know? I was just tired of the self-sabotaging. And I did that a lot, you know?
I want to change direction a little bit. There was something that jumped out to me, and this is from a conversation you and I had. How long you been here?
I got here
A couple months at least?
Yeah, a couple months. I think it was around.
Probably at least a month ago we had this conversation. But you had said something along the lines of like, after your latest relapse, that you felt like you knew enough about treatment, knew enough about recovery that you were just going to do it. And you said something along the lines of that you didn't realize how much you still had to learn or experience or something along those lines.
Because I thought that I knew, you know, what I knew about it. And it was just like, I didn't even know. The main thing for me would be the underestimating. Like when I went back out, like I was like, okay, like I thought that people who had addiction problems were people who did pills. I didn't even know alcoholism was even a thing. If we're being honest here, like I didn't even know that was something that was a problem. Like back home, they're just like to drink. Like people say they're alcoholics, but it never clicked to me until I got down here. Well, when I was working through what I was working through and I went back out, it was like, they say you pick up right where you left off. I never knew that. Like I didn't think that was legit. Like I didn't listen to anyone around me. And I picked up right where I left off, even worse. But like, what are you like asking me? Is that something kind of what you're asking me, or?
Yeah. You said that you I guess you didn't know what you didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think coming to the realization in that conversation, you basically said, I ended up doing more treatment here. And you were like, 2020 hindsight, I actually have learned a lot when I thought that I was coming here just to check a box, so to speak. It's kind of like what I heard.
Yeah, I was only going to come here for like 2 weeks AMA and then go back home for Thanksgiving. And then like, who even thinks alcohol?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So like when Destiny came and spoke with me, I was going to go home like right after detox.
Yep.
I was out.
What made you change your mind? Like, was there like a pivotal moment or was it a culmination of things?
Yeah. So like I wanted to go home for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, and my mom's birthday is like right after Thanksgiving. And I thought about it and I was like, no, I was like, I made my mind up when I was still in detox, actually. Like, not even when I got here. Because I talked to Destiny and then she left. Obviously, I didn't see her again. So I called my mom a couple nights after that. And I was like, if I can just fix this shit now, like learn what I need to learn and take that with me and come back home, that's what I'm going to do. Like, missing one birthday, one holiday, like, you know, because I've only missed, like, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, like not multiple times have I missed it. Yes, I've been there physically, not there mentally, but I mean, like, not even in the same state. So I told her, I was like, if I can just get this now, then I won't have to miss anything. And then I was like, I'm just going to do 30 days. And I was going to go back home and I was going to do like a outpatient there and like stay, you know, I was like, why would I do that to myself? Like, I'm comfortable with the therapy here, comfortable with the staff. Y'all care tremendously. Like, if I didn't have y'all in my Mimi pass, like, I don't even know where I'd be right now. So I really do. I'm very thankful for y'all. But yeah, that's surrendering. Like, just fully surrendering and like, you know what? Everything I did the first time, I'm not doing that at all. I'm doing the complete opposite. I'm listening to what y'all have to say, like suggesting to me. Like, that's everything that I've been doing. Like, when my Mimi passed, I was like, I'm going to go back home. Eric was like, they don't really want you there. They don't, you know, they're going to worry about you. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like,
Eric said that to you?
I was like, oh, okay. Because I was on the fence about it. Like, I knew though, like in my heart of hearts, I knew if I would have went back home, I wouldn't have wanted to get back on the plane to come here. Just because the emotions that come with like leaving my dog again, leaving my family, like it's really hard for me. So what really sealed the deal is when I called my grandfather and he was like, just stay there. Like, your Mimi would want you to stay there. And knowing that I could stay put with her passing, like I said, I can do anything. So I'm like, why not complete this program, learn what I need to know? Because like the way y'all do it here is just completely different than, you know, I've only been in treatment twice. So like I can only compare y'all to here and where I was before, but I do see a big difference. Like, I'm not just another number or client, you know, it's like we're all family here.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that.
Ben, you okay over there?
Yeah, I got this tickle in my throat. You think a LaCroix will fix it?
The static might pop it on out.
Go get one. I'll cut this out. All right. Well, I mean, I'll say this. I think you've made tremendous progress just in the short period of time you've been here. What are some of the... Well, do you plan on going back? Do you plan on going back to Alabama?
I do plan on going back to Alabama.
Yeah? When do you see that happening, or you don't really know yet?
I'm not really sure. Like, what made me... Like, when I first got down here, I'm going to stay. So I transferred my job out. I did all that. And then whenever I relapsed, I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm 5 miles away from home or 5,000 miles away from home. If I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink.
Right.
So I want to be strong enough in my recovery to be able to go back home and take what I've learned to help, you know, like little problems here and there with my family, like, you know, like the stress, like the actual dealing with life on life's terms, like setting the boundaries, not overwhelming yourself. And because I feel like the big book's not just for alcoholics and, you know, addicts. I feel like everybody should actually read it. You know what I mean? Or even just not even the big book, just like the 12 steps. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like it'd be really beneficial to a lot of people.
I've always said they should teach it in college or high school, you know. But would that break the traditions, Ben?
I mean, they use it in so many different aspects. Overeaters, Narcotics Anonymous. I mean, there's so many branches for it now.
Yeah.
And the principles are the same. The Oxford Six Tenets are where it originated, so taking inventory, looking at your sins,
Yeah.
making amends.
When you go back home, I mean, do you envision continuing meetings and?
Yeah, so I've actually looked up. I was like, we were talking about it, I think Wednesday, we were talking to the Rabbi Mark about it. I was like, there's not even that many meetings there. Like, what am I going to do today? And we actually looked them up, and there's a lot more than I thought. Like, they have young people meetings. They have meetings that are, like, in a better part of town, like right across the causeway. I do plan on still doing that, though, yeah. I feel like I need the meetings, like, because if I'm up to here, it brings me here. If I'm down here, it brings me here. It always brings me to, like, the middle. Right. That's where I want to be. I always want to try to be balanced, and it always makes me feel balanced.
That's a good way to look at it. I never looked at it in that way.
Yeah, that was different. I like that, too.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're bringing some original material.
One step at a time.
But what else? Like, what do you want to do? If you could fast forward 10 years from now, what's your life look like?
Okay. I would have a business in barbering. I'd be a mobile barber.
Okay.
So I'd go to school for barbering and business and probably have a trade under my belt. Build me a house. Make sure, like, no one in my family struggles. I would give people free haircuts. I would still be going to meetings. I'm just talking about, like, the career part of my life. But I don't know. That's why I get stuck, because I feel like I was spared so many times to, to continue the message, to share my experience. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like that would be in there somewhere. I've never really, like, thought about that until just now. But I have thought about my purpose in life. And I feel like that would be, like, my career would be obviously cutting, but the purpose would still be to spread the message. Like, there's no way, like, what I have made it through that I should be sitting here. Like, I just don't believe that. And that's what I've thought since I've been here. So maybe there would be, like, a little bit of, like, helping other people, obviously. Like, that's what we do when we're here. We work the program, do the 12 steps, and then, like, the next thing is service. Share your message. Oh, no, I'd probably have a couple sponsees. That's something that's really nerve-wracking to me, though, is, like, sponsoring somebody.
Why?
Whoa. I don't know. I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I was, like, I'm trying to work on that because it's not healthy. But if I was working with somebody and, like, they would relapse, I would feel like, what did I do wrong? I would put it on me. I'd beat myself up. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something hard. Like, I get really close with them, and then something happens. I don't know.
I'm going to share something before Ben does. Before Ben says this, I'm going to say it. And you'll be proud of me, Ben.
Oh, wow.
For remembering this.
I know what it is.
You're not in the results business. You're in the business of showing up. What's that mean to you?
That means that I'm not here to see how far I can get them, but just to help them. Like, just to show up and do what I need to do. Because it's still helping me at the end of the day. I'm not here to... Well, I am here to hope that they get it right, but not necessarily here to... How would I word that? Go ahead.
Another thing that Ben says.
Ben is just dropping the bars right now.
Don't tie yourself to the outcome. You're in the results business. Or you're not in the results business. You're in the business of showing up, meaning you're, having a sponsee. Your job is to take them through the 12 steps and be there and to help them and so on and so forth. But in the end, you have zero control over whether or not somebody relapses or not.
Yeah, they tell you to carry the message, not the alcoholic.
Oh, there's one.
Yeah, see?
I'll be here until 2.
Here's some perspective for you. Your last relapse. What did the people that were trying to help you do wrong?
Ooh.
They must be responsible for your last relapse. Huh. That's what I'm hearing. Are they See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was like, is this like a trick question? But no, they were not a part of it. A little bit ties in. Like, I did get overwhelmed towards the end, like with the whole, like, you gotta go thing. But ultimately, it was my decision,
Yeah, and that's the thing.
They did try to help me.
Like, if you were to relapse after leaving here, like, what did we do wrong? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, and you got to look at it. I think when you flip the script and look at your own personal relapses, I can't blame other people for it. And I would hope that would help ease your fear of being a sponsor.
Yeah.
You can do everything right as a sponsor. Follow the program exactly like you're supposed to, and you may have somebody that goes out. I'll be straight up, you may have somebody that passes away. I've experienced that several times.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I can honestly, one of the things that I try to do for myself in my recovery is evaluate those situations. And I've gotten better at it where I think it's only human to say like, oh man, I should have picked up on this or picked up on that. I should have said this. I should have said that. But the reality of the situation is I can honestly sit back and all these, once my mind has time to clear and say, you know what? I gave good effort. I did the best that I could with the information that I had, and I did my best to be of service to that person. I'm not responsible for their relapse. I'm not responsible for them passing away. And that's what helps me put my pillow or my head on my pillow at night, you know? Because it's sad, you know, when we work in this like Tom and I do, or even being in recovery and just staying in the rooms, you're going to see it. But at the end of the day, that's why I show up to meetings and give my best effort to carry a message. Because I can say to myself, I know that I did everything that I could in showing up.
That was good, man.
That was really good.
And you want a basic one? This one's not so eloquent. That's what my sponsor said to me. He's like, don't worry. You can't fuck them up any worse than they already are.
Oh, my God.
Because I said the same thing to my sponsor. I was like, I don't know about getting a sponsee. Like, you're a really good sponsor. How am I ever going to match what you did?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he said to me.
That's not bad.
So let's we only got a couple minutes left. Let's riff for a second on this. I like the whole barber thing.
Yeah.
So you want to be a barber.
Yep.
Okay. And you want to be sober.
Oh, yeah.
I would, after the end of this podcast, I would go on GoDaddy.com and buy the URL, thesoberbarber.com.
That's a thing.
What do you mean?
So, well, it's not a thing.
No,
so
it's not a thing, but it will be.
Oh, I didn't know. You told me to go on there, and I was like really confused for a second.
You know what GoDaddy is?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
GoDaddy is where you would go to buy a URL. You know what a URL is?
It's like a link, right?
It's like realrecoverytalk.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, you buy that, and you could probably go on and buy it for $1.99 or something. And you start building a business around that. You know? Thesoberbarber.com. You're a mobile barber, whether you start that here or when you go back to Alabama, I don't know. I would start creating content. Yeah, start creating content around it. It can be a nonprofit or it could be for profit, but part of your proceeds go to giving back to addicts in some capacity. People would buy into that all day long, you know?
That's really amazing that I've never even heard of that.
Well, that's why I'm here.
I'm like never heard of that ever. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean that would be everybody needs haircuts.
Yeah.
You know. I mean you kind of alluded to it a little bit. You would give out free haircuts to people in need.
Have you seen those like YouTubes or Instagrams where barbers will go up to like homeless people stuff, or just random people and say, "Hey, let me give you a haircut." Like that's a good deed, and
yeah, you could like go to different sober houses or treatment centers and stuff, and just say, "Hey, I'm giving out haircuts," you know, for whoever wants. And then you start creating. Here's what you need to do. Go on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel called S is in Sam, B is in boy, mowing. SB mowing. Have you ever seen this?
Like mowing the lawn?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so this kid, he's got probably 4 million subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And he lives, I don't know where he lives, but his whole career, his whole YouTube channel, everything, and he makes a ton of money, I imagine, through this, is he goes and he finds properties that need mowed.
Yes, I've actually not seen him on YouTube, but
you've
TikTok.
probably seen it on TikTok and stuff like that. And he goes and he finds these yards, and he goes and knocks on the door and says, "Hey, I'm in the area. Saw your yard needed cleaned up. you mind if I do it for you for free? And that's what he does. And he records all of it and time lapses it. Dude's got like 4 million subscribers,
pretty badass.
sponsors, like, I mean, just crushing it. And it's one of those YouTube channels that like you watch and you're like, I can't even believe I'm watching somebody mow the grass right now. But the way that he does it,
It's so satisfying.
yeah, it is. And then he has another channel, SB Pressure Washing.
What's the SB stand for? It's his
I think
initials
it's
or
his,
something?
I think it's his name. Yeah.
I have seen it where he goes on the sidewalk and like the houses.
And then he pressure washes.
Yep.
That one's even better.
You need to swing by my house.
But my thing that makes me laugh is like whenever he knocks on their door, they're like, what do you want? Like, is this for real? Like, you're not, what's the catch? And he's like, no, like, I really just want to do it, like, to help you out.
Right. Yeah. So adopt the same mindset, but with haircuts.
Yeah, I really should do that.
Yeah.
Like, when I was in my addiction, like, I was back home and I was like, I got everything ready for school because they were going to do a barber and business class in one. Please tell me why all I had to do was get my transcripts and I did not do that. It's like the procrastination. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Just $11. Just $11. I'll get to it. Yeah, why not? And then I just missed the deadline.
Yep. Yeah, that's the things that we do.
Doing good deeds.
Yep,
Principles.
Yep.
I was just talking to clients about this yesterday. I was telling them in group, I had a guy who had multiple years of sobriety, and he asked me to be a sponsor, but he had one question for me. He's like, are you the guy that put the shopping cart away? He like wanted to know that about me as a person.
Wait, what?
I'm going to throw it out there. I do put the shopping cart away when nobody's looking.
I do, for the most part. Unless my kids are in the car.
Tom's
my kids are in the car, I'm not going to walk 500 feet to put a cart away
They got
and
the
just
little
leave my kids just
parking
sitting
lot
out in the
halfway mark ones.
No, but sometimes they're not there. And look, you ever go to Costco on a Sunday? Sometimes you end up that's right. You don't have a Costco membership. So
I
you
have
don't
yet
do
to
that.
go to Costco.
Yeah, I mean, you
For
have
being
to walk
honest.
a quarter mile just to get to the store. I'm not going to do that. But if I'm by myself, I put the cart back. I do.
Like halfway service.
We got to wrap up because there's food downstairs waiting for us.
Oh, is
Is
there?
there?
Yeah.
What time?
It's almost 12:20.
Oh, wow. The food is down there. What'd you get today?
Greek.
Nice.
Yep. Greek.
Yeah.
Greek. Your Greek cousin on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard in West Palm Beach. If you ever want great Greek food, go visit Kimmy at Your Greek Cousin in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
It's pretty fire food.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to make it down there quick before the pepperoncinis are gone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're probably already ransacked.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
No, that was fun.
That was
Yeah.
fun. I do appreciate
You're fun to be around.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I agree.
Then I'm
Yeah.
gonna
We
take
should
them
have done
away.
this sooner. You have to take it up with Hannah, though. Hannah was the one.
Yeah, I was going through some stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that.
We'll do it later. She can come back again.
No, not about that event. Okay.
All right.
It was just a thought came. But
Yeah, no, share it with the real recovery talk.
Hurry up.
2 seconds. You did have a point multiple weeks ago at this point where you came in and you're like, I literally felt like drinking so bad yesterday. Like you went to the store or something.
You talking about whenever I was like during the alumni when we came here Wednesday morning and I was just like I'm trying to think about what. Go ahead.
Just the thought of drinking was really strong for you one day
yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yes.
I forget the exact details, but I do remember that part.
Yeah. It was
What led up to that?
nothing.
How'd you overcome it?
Honestly, I went to the gym.
All right.
There you go.
I did. I went to the gym. I was really struggling and I was like irritable. Didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't even want to hear the thought of them breathing beside me, let alone looking at me. And as soon as I got back to the house, I was like, I've got to put this weight in the weights. So that's what I did.
Look at that, Ben. There
Yeah.
might be a T-shirt there.
The weight and the weights.
Yeah.
Dude, I am so glad you let me ask that question.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you for encouraging that because the weight and the weights. Tom's going to get a neon sign now. Best and best is weight
That's
and the
great.
weights.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I do appreciate y'all letting me come on here. I had a really good time.
absolutely.
I was
Anytime.
really nervous at first, but I think I overcame that along the way.
Yep. All right. That is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.
Do the wave.